interrupted. Why does the radiation change every couple of hours, and what's going on there? Is that about sums it up? Why radiation?
Да.
Why radiation?
Да.
So, you've all experienced an emission before, these violent thunderstorms that happened there. Let's be honest, fucking deadly to get caught out in. These storms help produce anomalies and artifacts, but they also blow with a very high potent wind. Same thing happens here as we just experienced. Surprised some of these buildings are still standing with the amount of powerful wind that occur, but most of the times we notice that the radiation moves in a recognizable pattern, like it's being blown in from somewhere. Much like a high or low pressure in the atmosphere. If that answers your question satisfyingly.
Да, yeah.
Ooh, somebody
Uh,
had too much
Oh
vodka.
shit. Anyone have vitamins or tetracycline?
yes. Oh lord. One moment.
Yeah, we got some
I have
here on the
vitamins.
table.
I think I'm alright.
Did you not purify your water?
Open
Do I
up
have to
your
go
I
mouth.
over
did.
the
I was
necessity
eating
of
a
purifying your
sausage.
water?
Oh
Please
no,
take that.
I'm not sure why I'm ill.
But could it be perhaps you ate too much sausage?
Don't
Just
think
Just stand
so.
away
Let's
from
go
everybody so
over
you don't
the,
get everybody else sick, okay?
necessity to purify water.
You would be
There
surprised
you go.
how many times I've had to explain the needed necessity of purifying water. It is not for even for the sake of the radiation in the water. The water up here is fucking disgusting. Need to purify your water or you will get horribly sick. Anyways, alright. Well, I think we've been over almost everything with radiation and radiation protective equipment. All we're lacking there is I haven't brought up this particular beauty here.
Small bites.
This here
small
is a
bites.
scientific medkit.
Small bites. Stop, you're gonna
Scientific
vomit again.
medkits to
Small
have
bites.
a few pills of potassium inside
Small
of them,
drinks,
but are a
small
more
bites.
milder version of what your is what your question.
There you go. There you go.
There. So as I was saying, there are two
Sir.
potassium pills in here.
May I interrupt you for a second? So,
Alright.
since I saw duty giving some presents for those poor struggling stalkers, we decided as a brothers to help them out. As we see duty gives only civilian medkits, we decided to give also something from our heart. I hope this will help those poor souls and to make their way in the zone. Go ahead and grab whatever you need.
This is much appreciated.
Thank you very, very much.
Alright, well,
Yes,
I guess
that's
this
all
is a
from
good
the
time.
brothers. You can go ahead. That's all.
thank you. Well, I suppose this is a good time to go over the medkits and the different ranking. You all have seen the orange, blue and yellow ones. Now, you've been given some orange and blue ones, and they are very potent, but the only one that will help you with radiation will be the yellow ones. The rule of from here is also about 300. But there is inside of these medkits, there is a few the plasma in some of them. There is bandages. There is, depending on if they're sterile or not. Of course, there's also a little sewing kit to patch up your wounds. So they come quite in handy if you are out. But I would highly recommend making sure they are disinfected before using them on any open wound. Unless, of course, you are carrying around an alcoholic tincture on you where you can then purify your wounds afterwards, or you have enough antibiotics on you to kill off any infection you might get. But of course, there is less in the orange than there is in the blue, and there is less in the blue than there is in the yellow, and so on and so forth. Of course, also in the yellow compared to the blue and the orange, there is also a little bit of adrenaline to help you stay in the fight. Good thing I'm a professional. God damn. Interruptions today. Alright, shit, what do I say? That was the medkit. Alright. Speaking of medkits and disinfection, have any of you had to bandage up a wound with a sewing kit before, or a dirty rag, or any sort
did,
of...
yeah. Multiple times.
Then you gentlemen are aware of the dangers of blood poisoning.
Yes.
But are you aware of the treatment of such?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To qualify blood poisoning in a couple of stages, we have stage 1, where it is very easily fought off. It can be done by just disinfecting the wound. Yes, you have a question, or?
Not much as a question, but also just a note to people. As it has been gone around, people with either dirty syringes or wrong blood types in the syringes, for example, O positive, have been known to inject others, and well, blood poisoning can cause from that as well, or your blood will just reject it. This can be very, very fatal. But as to add on to that, is there any way to, in case it does happen to you, is there any way you could save yourself from it? What's the
You feeling any
treatment?
better?
So, the treatment for blood poisoning is a whole lot of antibiotics.
Okay.
Now, you will start showing symptoms first. You'll start sweating a lot. Your joints will be in pain. At some point, it will be an unbearable pain whenever you take a step. You'll start groaning, sweat immensely. You'll have a high running fever. In that case, tetracycline, lots and lots of tetracycline, some multivitamins, and then remember to stay well fed and hydrated. But it is very dangerous. It is not always that you can manage to take the correct amount of pills at the right spacing and time before the infection gets a hold of you. Now, if you get stabbed with a syringe with the wrong blood, or if somebody tries to infuse you with too much blood, if you're lucky enough to survive after that, you have a medkit on hand. I would strongly recommend using it right away, and then start definitely taking any sort of medication you have, if it's antibiotics or Meximin. You don't know what you have been injected with at that point, and it's important that you get out of that situation as fast as you can. Unlike with saline bags, the blood saline everybody can take. There should be no problem. It will help you stay hydrated. It will help get a little bit more blood back in your system. Just feel like it, but it's not a whole lot. Compared to being stabbed with saline and somebody else's blood, it can get quite dangerous. Anything to add to this, Professor?
not sure. You've been talking about what, medical stuff?
There now
Those
we're
are-
going over. There, oh well. I'm happy to hear I'm that exciting to listen.
No, it was not you, it was not you. Don't worry, don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing a
Yeah,
great
it's
job,
not me.
a great job. What do you think, everyone? He's doing good job, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Take those
Learned
gloves.
a
Very good job.
It'll help
Very
keep your hands
much.
clean.
Though, Technician, I
There
do
you
have
go.
one question.
Very
What
much.
medical supplies are in each of the 30 medical kits?
Or now I gotta remember that there is the civilian. I think it's primarily bandages, a little bit of plasma, and steroids. The army first aid kits. There's I think a couple of military drugs to help dull the pain and keep you in the fight. A little syringe of morphine, a little thing to give you a boost, and more bandages and more plasma. And in the scientific one here we have a syringe of epinephrine, a syringe of morphine, a good amount of gauze, a good amount of plasma.
Alright, thank you.
There.
Actually, I had a question for you as well in regards to radiation. I know that typically vodka can be of assistance when you are handling radiation. The traditional bottles. I was wondering if there was a measure of about how much radiation that would help remove from your system.
Alright, well I
And,
might as
on
well
the-
debunk that now. The level of radiation, so the myth has gone around the zone for quite a while, but I'm going to state it now. The myth about vodka, cigarettes, weed, anything non-medical added in extra into your body to help with radiation is not precisely true. We have done some very specific testing. We have not noticed a significant difference between the patient drinking vodka and the patient drinking water while being purified of radiation. There has been a difference of 7 millisieverts measured in their bloodstream, and that can come from the effectiveness of the pill and their own personal health. Same goes for any cigarettes, and same goes for anyone under the effects of the marijuana. The levels have fluctuated between 6 and 13. It's not noteworthy at all.
Okay.
The reason why I believe people think that these things help is because it takes your minds off things, it helps dull the pain you're feeling, it makes you feel better in another way, but for a more medical scientific fact, it will not help you. Don't try to substitute potassium with vodka.
Was a man
Fair
with a
enough.
hand up. It's case, right?
Yes. As we are still going over the medicine, I just had a general question regarding the mixture of using medicines. Most of them are pretty safe, but should we be aware of any bad mixing of medicine? I don't want anybody to OD if I'm helping them after all.
Well, most of the strong medication here on the table, most people are aware of, shouldn't take more than 2 morphine sticks at a time, for example, or you'll send a patient into a medical-induced coma. Pretty sure that you be aware of that. Potassium, I wouldn't take more than 1 at a time. You can take 2, you will puke furiously and your body will convulge. You can try and take 3, but I'm pretty sure that almost will kill you. Eat the whole pack, but then your radiation problems will be a thing of the past. Permanently. I wouldn't recommend mixing any painkiller with alcohol, but not your dad, so your own risk.
I do have another question, Technician. With the potassium, you mentioned that if you take 2 pills, you'll begin vomiting immediately. Does that vomit take away any radiation? Does it take away 300 and then another 300 the second time you vomit?
See, I want to say no, because I don't want people to do it. But yes, it does take off a fair bit of radiation, but not as much as if you let the pill work out on its own.
Understood.
Maybe
Thank you.
150 to 200 compared to the 300 rule of thumb before, but once again, I would not recommend you taking 2 at a time. Even in a dire situation. Might end up causing more damage than... Yes, guy on the couch.
But but wouldn't that help in emergencies to like immediately get some radiation out of the system? I mean,
If
yeah,
you're
sure,
in a
there's side effects to it, but in an emergency situation where it's life or death.
But would you want to be caught out still suffering from radiation poisoning, trying to make your way somewhere safe, and
No, of course.
suffer dehydration and starvation at the same time?
It is no. I was more referring to like in a safe scenario where if you
Yes.
are on the road, for example, and you're still safe, but you need to go quickly and reduce it in a higher rate, get back into safe limitations or quote unquote safe limitations.
I wouldn't recommend it. I really wouldn't. But it is, I suppose it's theoretically possible.
Alright. Thank you.
You do put a large strain on your system, so do with the information as you wish. Again, I am not your dad. Educated man trying to help. Any other questions?
You only live once, right? Take care of your bodies. Even though you're in this wretched place, try to do anything you can to, survive and not harm your body.
Yes. Only have the one. Ruin it for the sake of a few more rubles in pocket. Alright, well, that covers most everything. Radiation and mitigation in the sun. The only thing I suppose that is left is the specificity of the filters, but to pull up my PDA on that one, those numbers get complicated. While I do that, is there anyone who... Yep, yes.
So I had a question outside of radiation medication, and I wanted to get a clarification. So, psi blockers and the effects of how it is used on one's body. What does it prevent? Like, does it prevent psi emitters? Does it prevent psi emissions from like a controller? I've got a lot of yeses and nos from a lot of trustworthy people, and wanted to get some clarification on that. If you would be more than obliged.
Yeah, of course, of course. So the Cyblock pill that we have produced and manufactured and sent out into the zone will offer you a mild amount of protection against the less potent site fields around the zone, i.e. the one found a little bit north of Yandar, the one found in Darkscape, the one up in Lemansk. These more milder fields where the interference is more a lot of voices and tunnel vision. To these they will provide a certain level of protection. Just a moment, I'll be with you shortly. Upon where, if it is a large emitter, they will offer you no protection against them. These emitters that have been known to be placed around the zone from time to time will fry your brain within 10 seconds, whether you take the psi pill or not. Not recommend that you go anywhere near them. The controller. We have not been able to ascertain any concrete data that the Cyclock pills offers any level of protection against them. But we have heard the same rumor multiple times that some stalkers felt better fighting a controller with a Cyclock pill in their system compared to without. But that is maybe also have to some do with the pill's effect on your body as well, but who to tell?
Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, technician.
Alright, what was your question?
To expand a little bit on it, regarding the one that you mentioned in Darkscape, are you speaking of the factory? Because I've had some psi effects when getting close to it with other companions.
The factory and the abandoned military base. The large radio antenna.
Ah, I see. Thank you.
Alright, any other questions? We'll open the floor up to any general questions about the zone.
Is there an approximate time for how long each filter will last? Given you're
45
wearing
minutes.
it
Speaking a
once.
little bit louder. Can almost not hear you up here.
My apologies. I was asking approximately how long one filter would last you if you wore it and used it in a continuous state.
So, if you wear it and you all the filters last you about the same amount of time, but it depends on your activity level. The more you run around, the more you sprint around with your gas mask and filter on, the more heavy you breathe, the more you breathe, the more you use the filter, the less the filter lasts. If you're standing completely still, it will last you approximately 50 minutes. But any movement added on to that decreases the time from there. Good rule of thumb, just jogging around, 30 minutes, 35.
Thank you very much.
There. Then of course, depending on what filter you have, quality. I know that there are others, and they will last you for an extended time, but I haven't had a personal chance to test the exact amount of time. Alright. Well, I've been standing up here talking for about an hour now. We've covered most everything. Bless you. Alright. I'm gonna get down from this table then. Thank you all. Hope
Thank you,
you
technician.
learned something.
Thank you.
Clean up
Very
my mess.
informative, yes.
There are some sandwiches here at the end of the table. If anybody is hungry, feel free. It's not one I brought.
Technician, may I speak to you momentarily?
Of course.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you
good
for
to
having
see
us.
everyone.
There are a bunch of filters on the ground, you know. We shouldn't litter.
Sorry. You are the niche, yeah? Am I right? Oh yeah, so I'm in the case about those titanium tubings.
The musician. Professor and musician.
Professor and music.
Any good songs lately? New songs outside the zone or something?
Depends what type of song you want to hear.
To be honest, anything fresh.
Okay. Let me see here. It's a very nice and calm song, you know?
Hey, thanks for the medicine.
Okay, come over here for a sec.
Very good.
Okay.
That was pretty good, yeah, indeed.